Let's begin with prayer. Merciful Jesus, we trust in you to take our heavy burdens and lighten our load. Illumine the way forward through your word and scripture, so that we might find comfort there and new life in you. Now may the words of my mouth and the meditations of all our hearts be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, my rock and our Redeemer. Amen. Our lifetimes are filled with opportunities. And sometimes those opportunities present themselves in the form of an invitation. And other times they come as a gift of sheer grace. But we need to be attentive to all of them, because there just might be God at work in our lives. On Wednesday evening last week, I walked out from the manse to the baseball field. There was something new there, and I wanted to get a closer look. And as I headed out to the ball field, I noticed 4 boys sitting on the bench by the backstop. They were a little bit loud and laughing, and also a bit self-conscious, especially when I came up to say hello. They looked to be about 12 or 13 years old. They all had a smartphone with them, and they were conflicted between joking with each other on the bench and Snapchatting with someone else who wasn't even there. They were engaged and disengaged. They were excited and bored. And as I talked to them, greeting them, I noticed that none of them was a church kid, but they were all the touching kids. So I asked if any of them had ever participated in our flag football league in the fall. And one of them said he had. And another volunteered that he used to play t-ball in the baseball diamond when he was little. And that was common ground enough for us to be friends, so I asked them if they knew about our community garden. And they didn't, so I told them about it. I showed them where it would be and how it would work and how the produce would be used to help people in need. Fresh produce for our food pantry. And they said that was cool. And then when I headed out to the garden, they didn't come with me. They didn't seem to get the invitation I was offering. But to be clear, those boys didn't come to the church campus for me to give them a project or for me to include them in our ministry. They were just looking for some fun. They wanted to get out of the house, away from their parents, be a little bit independent. So they came to our church. They didn't go inside. They came close to seizing an opportunity, but they missed it. But life is full of opportunities. They had also missed Vacation Bible School the week before. There were 100 campers and 40 helpers. They would have fit right in. They missed the puppeteers and their launch of that life-size space capsule that lifted off from right here in the chancel space and blew right out that door. They missed Leo the yellow ape and its human handler that was inside the capsule and departed as an intergalactic blast. And they missed the stargazing night the Wednesday before, when 50 people came one evening to that same spot where the bench stood at the backstop. And an expert came with a telescope, and he showed everyone the planets, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn with its rings. and the brightest stars, they named them Sirius, Spica, and Taurus. It's not just what they missed, those 4 boys. It's what they continue to ignore. They'll miss out on the garden development that will be happening in the months to come. They'll miss out on our youth mission trip for Habitat for Humanity, leaving in just 2 weeks. And they'll probably miss, despite all the evidence, they'll probably miss out on Jesus, despite the welcome, despite the invitation. They probably will miss out on that too. But our lifetimes are full of opportunities. Frankly, it was looking just about as grim as that for Jesus Christ when he was walking among us, preaching the good news and healing the sick, restoring sight to the blind, bringing hope to the discouraged. He was ignored by a lot of people. Many missed out, or they heard him preach and they just didn't get it, or they got angry, or they rejected him and thought he was just a crank. From Matthew's gospel this morning, we hear just a snippet of this lukewarm reaction that the people had for Jesus. In the text prior to our reading, we learn that Jesus had been training his disciples, that he had instructed them about the reward of righteousness for whoever gives even a cup of cold water to a child, about loving our neighbor and loving our God. And after instructing his disciples, Jesus takes his message to the road, and the word gets out. The word about Jesus gets out. Soon, even John the Baptist heard about this man, Jesus, but John was languishing in prison by then, so he sent out his own disciples to Jesus to ask him, "Are you the one who is to come? Or are we to wait for another?" And Jesus' answer was as clear an answer as one can get from Jesus. "Go and tell John what you hear and see. The blind receive their sight. The lame walk. The lepers are cleansed. The deaf hear. The dead are raised. And the poor have the good news brought to them." Yet despite all the evidence, people didn't get it. The people, mainly Pharisees and scribes, they just weren't buying it. They thought John the Baptist was crazy, and Jesus just as bad. Jesus complains to them, "To what can I compare this generation? Like children who cannot make up their minds. They said John has a demon, for he would not eat or drink. And now the Son of Man has come, and he eats and drinks with everybody." And they say he's a glutton and a drunkard, a friend of tax collectors and sinners. Jesus had lost his patience with those Pharisees and scribes, those over-rigid authoritarians, those rigid rule-book readers, those folks who get all Leviticus about everything, except for the most important thing. They forget the central aspect of religion, to love God and to love neighbor. All the rest is extra weight, unnecessary baggage. Let it go. Love God, love neighbor, then you will find your rest. Jesus has come, yet the people missed him. The chosen ones of Israel missed him. Those 4 boys on the bench out back, they missed him. And now Jesus calls to us today, saying, "Don't miss out. I have an invitation for you. I invite you to experience true joy. Here is my invitation. Come to me, all you that are weary and are carrying heavy burdens, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find your rest. For my yoke is easy, my burden is light. Now that's a good sermon. That's a good sermon. That's what my most colorful preaching professor would say whenever a student, he or she, might prematurely conclude remarks. When Professor LaRue said, "Now that's a good sermon," you knew that that was not a good sermon. That's a good sermon, he'd say. "Come to me, all you who are weary, and I will give you rest." You got the invitation, you put the burden down, Jesus will give you rest. That's a good sermon. But now make it a great sermon. Preach us the word for our day, because Jesus didn't stop there. And my professor would be right, because Jesus did not stop there. His invitation was not just, put your burden down and I will give you rest. That's not where Jesus ended his message. That's where his message begins. Our lifetimes are filled with opportunities. Sometimes those opportunities present themselves to us in the form of an invitation. And other times they come as a gift of sheer grace. But we must be attentive and not miss out. Not miss the most important thing. And when Jesus offers you an oar to pull, pull it. And when Jesus offers you a second chance, take it. And when Jesus offers you to take on your heavy burdens, let them go. Here's the thing. Here's where we are. A lot of us, we're burdened with over-busyness. We have our jobs to do, or our household management, our kid management to take care of, or our retirement activities that start to feel like full-time jobs. Our mental clutter that constantly throws us off course. When we open an email to send out a message and get so distracted by all the inbox stuff, we forget what we wanted to send out in the first place. Or we lose sight of our own goals as we respond to every distraction that appears to us. We all do it. Life is cluttered. Now, Sam Wells, the vicar at St. Martin's in the Fields Church in London, he wrote a reflection in Christian Century magazine recently about that very risk of losing our divine purpose in the flood of life's distractions. Of the many activities you do, the projects and the procrastinations, the vicar writes, what is the one thing that really matters? And in challenging us to name it, to proclaim the truth of the one thing that matters most in your individual life, Wells asked pointedly, why are you not filling all your time with that? We lead cluttered lives, and amid the dross, we lose sight of the one central thing. Is it life? Is it love? Is it art? Is it scripture? What is the one thing that really matters for you? And why aren't you filling all your time with that? While I was away on vacation, I received an email from one of our newer members. I hold my new members especially dear because we share such important faith conversations, and so much trust and daring goes into the decision to join a church community. And this new member who wrote to me, Roland, and his wife Debbie, they have children in our Sunday school. They joined church a year ago. And soon thereafter, they faced some horrifying health issues. So I was relieved when Roland wrote to me with some wonderful news. He had received Christ's invitation in the form of a gracious gift. And he now is refocusing his attention on the one most important thing. Roland is a young man in his 40s, and he had been isolated in the ICU cardiology unit since December last year. He was dying from a severe heart condition. His only hope for survival was to have a heart transplant. But as the weeks in the ICU dragged into months, many of us began to worry if there would be a donor found in time. And then Roland sent his email. A miracle had happened. And with his permission, I share part of Roland's message with you. Dear friends, he wrote, I received my heart transplant on June 7th. 9 days later, on June 16th, 6 months after being admitted to the hospital, I was released to go home. It is wonderful to be home. I feel great, and my recovery is going well and fast. I want to leave you with a story of another heart transplant recipient, his conversation with a friend of his. It hit home when I heard it, and it truly captures how I feel. A friend expressed to the recipient that he is truly sorry for what the recipient had to go through, how his life was disrupted and changed. And the recipient replied, no, not at all. I feel sorry for you. I have received the greatest gift, life. I have been given a profound new appreciation of life, a completely new outlook on the world, one that you cannot understand or imagine. I am blessed. Do not feel sorry for me. And that is truly how I feel too. Jesus said, take my yoke upon you and learn from me. Learn from me what is the most important thing. Learn from me that the one central thing is life. And the one central action is love. And the one central experience is relationship. I invite you to a relationship of love with God, with self, and with neighbor. All the rest is extra weight. Burden is light. The yoke of Jesus is easy. Live your life through love. Still work. You still have to pull an oar. But you're not alone. For whenever we are yoked to a task, there's someone else pulling with us. And that's you and Jesus. The yoke is easy, and the burden of loving is light. And here's the good news. Jesus accepts you just as you are. Here's the message from Christ. You're invited. So give up your distractions, your cluttered lives, your burdens. Give them to Jesus and take on the gifts of God. Love your neighbor. Value the blessing of life. And you won't miss out on a thing. The blind will see. The lame will walk. The deaf will hear. The dead will live again. And you will find rest for your souls. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.